motivation for today. An unexamined life is not worth living.
So that philosopher giving us that very motivation just for the morning. And,
an unexamined life is not worth living.
Good.
What's your understanding of this one?
It means that if you don't go into a lot more retrospect and introspection of yourself, then you have no business living, really. It means you have no goals. You have no objectives. You have no mission and no vision for yourself.
And you can't live like that.
Yes, you need to look forward to something. And just not, you know, eat, sleep, go to work, do whatever. And you feel like it will all be put into some level of pieces. The blocks will be built like that. No, you have to.
And you know, today is one of those days that you really, really do not want to wake up, but you know there's something ahead that you have to focus on and think about. So yeah, because of the weather. I mean, it feels really good sleeping, but you know, sleeping will not solve anything. So wake up, pick yourself up, and go to that job. This is the AM Show. Our show is proudly brought to you by Mixi Coffee. We'll come back and do the headlines for you, or can we do it, Roland?
Okay, so we do our top headlines for the morning. The National Task Force on Pirated Clothes, they have given sellers up to April to dispose of pirated clothes before they resume confiscation and distraction of those that are seized. And that very distraction and confiscation, we've been told, will take place in May.
Well, President Mahama will today deliver the State of the Nation address. We'll bring you the expectations from economists, policy think tank, and the general public.
Well, the state of the the military hospital that is expected to be built in Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital, is almost due because the construction of the 500-bed capacity is expected to commence or begin next month. That'll be it for the headlines we have. We'll bring you the full details of what we have by way of news on the AM Show. So now our first story, the National Task Force on Pirated Clothes has given cloth sellers up to April to dispose of their pirated items before the force resumes confiscating and destroying them in May. A member of the task force, Lawrence Osei-Boateng, gave the warning at a public forum at Elubo in the Western region to educate the public on pirated clothes. Well, the task force had since its inception destroyed 6,000 full pieces of pirated wax prints and has additional 1,000 more to destroy. Another member of the task force, E.N. Acquah, said they had seized 25 kinds or different types of cloth banned in the country because they contain ionic color, which produces or is a causative agent for cancers.
Investment into Ghana's economy, according to the Ghana Investments Promotion Center, declined significantly last year. The figure came down by 19% to $8.9 billion in 2013 compared to almost $5 billion recorded in 2012. These figures were contained in the fourth quarter investment report by GIPC, which also captured the inflows into the country. According to GIPC, it registered 417 projects last year compared to 399 projects in 2012. GIPC is tasked with promoting investments in the country.
We know that the president is expected to read before Parliament the State of the Nation address, and economist Dr. Sayasibe, who is also a member of Parliament, says he expects President Mahama in his State of the Nation address to come out with pragmatic medium to long-term policies to enhance the economy and turn it into a resilient one. He called on government not to set overambitious targets in the address, as it could not meet its macroeconomic and revenue targets set for the last fiscal period.
We'll stay with the State of the Nation, and President John Dramani Mahama will today deliver the State of the Nation address before Parliament. Many Ghanaians, including members of Parliament and individuals on the streets, have since last week been expressing different expectations from the address. Meanwhile, sources at the presidency say the address will focus on the economy, the energy situation and challenges facing the provision of water. They said the president would also spell out measures being adopted by the government to resolve the bottlenecks in the educational, health and agricultural sectors. The address will be the second to be delivered by the president since he was elected president in December 2012. The address was originally slated for Thursday, February 20, 2014, but it was rescheduled for today due to unforeseen circumstances. It is expected that the president will make references to his first State of the Nation address, which was delivered last year, and point out some of the key achievements chalked by his government. Let's take a look at some excerpts of the 2013 State of the Nation address by the president.
It is my wish that President Mills was here to report on the unprecedented achievements of this administration. Or you can replace that with gargantuan. The unprecedented achievements of this administration, but the lot has fallen on me to give an account of the state of our nation. The purpose of this State of the Nation address at the end of a government's term in office, I believe, is to allow the President to place on historical record an account of his stewardship. I will, with your permission, Madam Speaker, present here a brief overview of the State of the Nation, while a full and much more detailed compilation is presented to you, Madam Speaker, for consideration by this House. The NDC administration, as honorable members will recall, came into office at a time when the economy of this nation was in some significant distress. Through hard work and implementation of prudent fiscal and monetary.
Meanwhile, economist Dr. Sayasibe, who is also a member of Parliament, says he expects President Mahama in his State of the Nation's address to Parliament to come out with more pragmatic medium to long-term policies to build the economy.
The Ghanaian economy continues to face a myriad of challenges in spite of efforts by government to curtail them. From fiscal deficits through a rising inflation to a weakening currency, the difficulties seem unending. For some economists, the State of the Nation's address to be read by the President on February 25 should ensure there are clear and active policies to address the economic challenges.
Looking at the challenges that we are facing, particularly within the first quarter of the year, where we have the cedi depreciating about 7.8 or 8%, and then the inflation pressure is still very high. And then looking at the fact that the energy situation is still erratic, the disruption in the energy supply, the water, is not reliable, and a host of other issues, employment problems and all. I expect the President to come out with very pragmatic measures to try to address some of these issues, and it shouldn't only be a short-term measure. What really I want to see is medium to long-term measures, so that this perpetual problem of cedi depreciating and the inflation going up, will be a thing of the past.
The consistent budget overruns is often attributed to the wage bill, which is said to take about 70% of the revenues generated by government. There are, however, calls for the address to freeze the wage bill, a move Dr. Osei-Sibe believes will not augur well for the economy.
So long as the macroeconomic environment is not stable, you cannot be talking about freezing the wage bill, freezing wage increases. No. In other areas where they have situation of cutting wages, like Japan and others, they are actually experiencing deflation. That is a consistent fall in general price level. But what we see in our part of the world, in this country, is the persistent increase in the general price level, which is an exact opposite, which means that so long as inflation levels rise, then the real wage rate of workers are reducing. So to bring it to a constant level, you need to increase their nominal wage. So I don't expect government to do anything other than government itself checking its own expenditure patterns.
He also called on government to ensure it has enough information to set relevant and not over-ambitious targets moving forward. Abigail Admakwenchi for Joy News.
Well, ahead of the President's State of the Nation address, a policy think tank, Imani Ghana wants government to do the obvious to alleviate the plight of Ghanaians. Vice President of Imani Ghana, Kofi Bentel, says Ghanaians are more concerned about their energy, businesses and health needs, and that the President's 2014 State of the Nation address should seek to practically address all these challenges.
Recent press statement by policy think tank Imani Ghana stated that President Mahama in his 2013 State of the Nation address promised to provide assistance in the development of sports among the youth and launch a 10 million Ghana Cedis Youth and Enterprise Development Fund to support entrepreneurship.
Even this fund has not really taken off. All right, I think what we should do is look at other ways to help entrepreneurs, and it's easy to find them. They are all over the place. You can ask them, what can I do to help you? And I think you'll get some good answers. For our part, what we find is that mostly all government has to do is to get out of their way. We are not that hopeful about the potential of success of such funds. We've seen many of them. There are many SME funds and funds intended to help entrepreneurs, but they all go the same way. They are riddled with corruption, they end up being paid to cronies, and they are never paid back.
Vice President of Imani Ghana, Kofi Bentel, also indicated that the challenges in the energy sector must be one of the key areas in the 2014 President's State of the Nation's address. The President, according to Kofi Bentel, must provide a clear-cut solution to the problem.
This whole idea of government having to produce, distribute and, finish everything when it comes to the energy market is part of the reason why we are having problems with our power systems. And we should be very bold about getting productivity out of the energy, the utilities generally. What we have to be aiming at is an energy market, a market for producers, a market for distribution, and a market for the last mile solution. We think communities can manage their own energy if it is sold to them in bulk. and they have systems which distribute the energy within the area.
Imani Ghana also wants government to reduce the bottlenecks in the ease of doing business in the country, modernize agriculture, reduce corruption, and also provide solutions to the challenges of poverty confronting many.
Trust me, Ghanaians, when they start lining up to fetch water, when they start, struggling in the dark because they can't get light, when they go to the hospitals and they can't pay, their NHIs is not working, when you sit in the trotro and it goes through a pothole and you have an issue with it, when you are faced with your child's school fees and you are struggling with that, you don't care what English the president speaks. So what the president has to do is get to the ground and do the obvious. People are not looking to be fed by government, okay? But the obvious things that a government must do, just do them and let's get on with our lives.
The policy think tank also wants government to provide better housing policies for Ghanaians.
Well, I guess better health facilities also need to be provided for a lot more communities. And already construction of a 500-bed capacity military hospital in Kumasi is expected to begin next month as government firms up $118 million in a facility for the project.
The construction of a 500-bed capacity military hospital in Kumasi will begin next month as government firms up a $180 million facility to cover the project, which should be ready in 42 months. According to Defense Minister Acquah, the military hospital, when completed, will be open to the public and serve especially the northern sector of the country. The Defense Minister told the contractors to give the project utmost attention required to meet the deadline set for completion.
The project is so dear to us. Dear to us because, we have only one military hospital in Accra. And that hospital in Kumasi is supposed to serve the northern half of this country. The military in Kumasi, Sunyani, and Tamale. We hope also that, like the 37 military hospital, it will open to our brothers and sisters in the civilian community. So it is of importance to us, and I want to urge the contractor to work speedily and then also to do a good job.
The CEO of Eurogate, the construction firm to see to the project, Dr. Said Deraz, told the Defense Minister the project will be completed ahead of schedule.
We can assure you that we have got one of the best contractors to deliver a high-quality hospital at a reasonable price that guarantee value for money for the government and the good people of Ghana. Gentlemen, today, as we sign this contract, we have a period of 42 months to complete the project in accordance with the commercial contract with Ministry of Defense. Honorable Minister, we wish to assure you that we, our Group, and our subcontractor, Parpasotti and San Ghana Limited, are ready technically and financially to complete this project within 36 months maximum ahead of contract schedule time.
An agreement of the project was signed Monday afternoon at the Defense Ministry.
The Chief Internal Auditor of the Ghana Education Service, the Reverend Bismarck Anaba, says failure or inability by management to sanction officers who indulge in financial malpractices is an obstacle to efficient resource mobilization. He appealed to management of the Ghana Education Service to apply administrative procedures to sanction officers who breach regulations rather than resorting to the law courts.
The 9th Annual National Conference of the Association of the Ghana Education Service Internal Auditors brought together participants from all over the country. It was held on the theme Achieving Efficient and Effective Resource Management in the Ghana Education Service, the role of the Ghana Education Service Internal Auditor. The Chief Internal Auditor of the Ghana Education Service, Reverend Bismarck Anaba, said there have been several cases of payroll irregularities and other audit observations which some people should have suffered severe sanctions. He therefore appealed to management to apply administrative procedures to sanction officers who breach regulations. He said internal auditors can contribute to the effective and efficient resource utilization in the Ghana Education Service because the responsibility of the auditor is to check whether responsible officers have complied with laws.
When an internal auditor is in an office, the role is to offer pieces of advice on the laws and regulations, internal controls in place. Sometimes when a manager wants to act, a director or a headmaster wants to act, you may draw his attention. Not all directors or not all headmasters, but some of them, they ignore pieces of advice as far as internal controls are concerned, and they act contrary to the rules and regulations. And this leads to irregularities, financial malpractices. And that is why sometimes you see some of them appearing before the Public Accounts Committee. This is what internal auditors are calling the attention of management to, that they should adhere to our pieces of advice so that we can ensure sound financial management and effective utilization of resources within Ghana Education Service.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Ephraim Avianso underscored the importance of auditors in the country, especially in the area of fighting corruption. He said the government is committed to fighting corruption and would not close its eyes to the pieces of advice given by auditors so as not to violate laws, rules and regulations which govern resource management.
They see them as fault finders. I see them as friends and people who are supposed to caution me and protect me for the future. If I had known an internal auditor and then I had 4 years to sit and wait, and all those reports year by year for 4 years, what will I be? And so for me, as soon as I came here, one of the things I took seriously had to do with internal auditors. Because they close me up, they protect me, they give me all that I have to do before I expose myself.
Rafiq Salam's report.
Well, so that report to end the news update we have on the AM show this morning. Before we go, though, a recap of our top stories.
As President Mahama delivers the State of the Nation address, Imani Ghana wants government to practically address all challenges in the energy, business and health sectors. Meanwhile, economists also want the president to come out with pragmatic medium to long-term policies to build the economy.
Well, the National Task Force in charge of pirated clothes has given sellers up to April to dispose of their wares, or they'll start confiscation in May.
And government has initialed an agreement of $180 million for the construction of a 500-bed capacity military hospital in Kumasi.
So that'll be it for the latest headlines we have. We'll bring you, of course, the headlines on the hour, but in the meantime, though, we'll have to take a short break. As we take that break, please get busy, get interactive through the page. Join News on TV is on Facebook, and also the short code 1760.
We'll also come back quickly to do the headlines for you in the newspapers.
Just stay on.
Good morning, my name is Baba Tando. Time now to talk sports, and it's brought to you by the kind courtesy of Tigo and Cowbell. Now, the Black Stars are getting ready for that Mundial in Brazil. I'm talking about the World Cup, which starts on June 12th and ends on July 13th of this year. And ahead of that, some friendly matches have been lined up for them, and their first test will be on the 5th of March this year at the Goricom in Podgorica Stadium in Montenegro. And ahead of that, Coach Kwesi Appiah has put together a team that is going to face Montenegro in that friendly match. Here's who makes up the squad.
Aduana Stars goalkeeper Stephen Adams returns to the squad thanks to his excellent showing at the African Nations Championship last month, where he steered the local Black Stars to the final of the tournament in South Africa. Top players are Samoa Jan, Michael Asen, Suleiman Tari, Kwejwa Samoa, Andre Ayew, Abdul Majid Waris and in-form Emmanuel Ajimambedu are all part of the squad, suggesting Coach Kwesi Appiah is set in his mind about which of his key players will make his World Cup squad. But there are still places in the squad to be filled, which looks to have resulted in the call-up for a new goalkeeper to compete with Korase, Fatau Dauda and Daniel Niaje. Dauda and Ajay, who play in South Africa's top flight, were left out, while Korase, who is in top form in pre-season in Norway, was included. The full full squad includes Adam Larson Korase, Stephen Adams for goalkeepers. For defenders, Harrison Affle, Samuel Nkum, Daniel Opari, David Addy, Jerry Akamenko, John Boy and Jonathan Mensah. And for midfielders, Michael Asian, Suleiman Tari, Kwadwo Samoa, Kevin Prince Boateng, Emmanuel Ajimanbedu, Albert Adoma, Mubarak Wakasu, Christian Achu and Andre Ayew. For strikers, Asamoah Jan, Abdul Majid Waris and Jordan Ayew. It will be the last friendly match for Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah before he names his squad for the 2014 World Cup.
Right, so that game is on March 5 at exactly 18 hours local time. We'll bring you updates on that. And still talking about the World Cup, there's a scramble for places by players, and Coach Kwesi Appiah has actually made it clear that you don't play, you don't play. You've got to be busy at your club side so that you'll be busy, or so he can at least call you for the national team. And ahead of that, every player is rushing to get a deal here or there to ensure that he's active and fit so that he will merit a call-up. One of such players is General Captain John Mensah, who has joined Slovakian side FC Nitra since ending his loan spell at his former club side Stade Rennes due to persistent injury problems.
Defender John Mensah has joined Slovakian side FC Nitra as he ends his extended spell without a club while boosting his hopes of making the Black Stars squad for the 2014 World Cup. The former Black Stars captain joins as a free agent to end his clublessness since leaving French club Stade Rennais last summer. The move, if confirmed, will throw the ex-Ghana captain back into the limelight for consideration by Coach Kwesi Appiah before he finalizes his squad for the 2014 World Cup. The 31-year-old has had his excellent career hampered by a back injury, which required an extensive spell on the sidelines. But the ex-Olympic Lyon man could be ready to return to rigorous top-flight training after claiming full fitness following his recuperation in Ghana. Mensah remains one of the top defenders to have come out of Ghana and will be a positive addition to the Black Star squad for the World Cup if he's able to prove his fitness at Nitra when the deal is done. His apparent return would also heat up competition in the defensive department of the Black Stars, with players such as John Boy, Jerry Akamenko and Rashid Samaila all jostling for places in the team for June's tournament to be staged in Brazil.
Another player seeking to make Coach Kwesi Appiah's 23-man squad for the Brazil 2014 World Cup is striker Prince Tego. Now, he's been speaking to Joy Sports, telling us about why he wants a place in the squad and who he thinks merits a place in the squad and who doesn't.
Yeah, why not? At the end of the day, I mean, I'm being honest here. You know, when you're a player and you have your playing time, it's most important. You know, when you don't have your playing time, it's kind of weird. So I believe when I'm on my feet and I'm having my playing time, whenever I'm being called upon, why not? It's Ghana is our homeland, so I'm prepared to help the nation, like I do always.
The coach has said that if you are at a club and you have enough playing time, then your chances are brighter. Have you had the chance to ever speak to Mr. Appiah since he's been made coach?
Well, to be honest, not really, but what he said or what he's saying to me is 100% right, because at the end of the day, I've been in it before, and I know when you are playing how your performance will be when you don't get the playing time and you use the back door and you come, it will show. So at the end of the day, accept the defeat or whatever it is that you don't have playing time. When they don't call you, just accept it and support Ghana 100%. But don't try to, you know, find your way out. You are going to give the coach a problem.
So striker Prince Tego and the General Captain John Mensah are all wanting to be part of the squad that will represent Ghana at the World Cup in Brazil. Now, coming up later tonight, there's UEFA Champions League action, round of 16, first leg ties, and Zenit St. Petersburg are hosting Borussia Dortmund at the Petrovsky Stadium, and then Olympiacos are also taking on Manchester United at the Karaiskakis Stadium inside Olympiacos take on Manchester United in the Karaiskakis Stadium. That'll do it for sports for this morning. We'll be back at midday with more. Sports is brought to you by the courtesy of Tigo and Cowbell. My name is Baba Tando.